Fallout New Vegas is my favourite Fallout game, and to celebrate Season 2 of the show, which seems it's going to feature New Vegas based on the trailers, the show isn't actually out yet when I'm recording this, so I can't say anything for definite. I decided to take a look back at what I consider to be the worst or most annoying achievements and trophies, if you prefer, in Fallout New Vegas. These aren't in any particular order. It's not like the last one I talk about is the definitive worst. It's just an unranked list of annoying achievements. Before getting to that though, I do just want to quickly say that this game's achievements are pretty chill, all things considered. This is not a hard game to platinum, but no matter the game, there's generally one rare achievement that is way easier than the percentage would suggest. So let's start with Artful Pocketer. For this one, you need to pick 50 pockets. This is the rarest base game achievement on both PlayStation and Xbox versions, and the second rarest on Steam. Now, if you're anything like me, you'll see those stats and be just like, huh? This is not a hard task to do. You can save scum it to make sure you don't get caught and get it done within, I'm gonna be generous and say 10 minutes. I was so confused as to why the rarity was so low, but then someone asked me how often I actually use pickpocketing in the game, which, yeah, okay, makes sense, I get it now. I'm sure there's probably some areas where pickpocketing is useful, but there are very few I can think of. Maybe getting the key for the Boone side quest, but that's really the only one I can think of. I remember I got this just repeatedly pickpocketing Carlos in Vault 21 and saving after every successful pickpocket, and it took maybe 10 minutes as I said earlier, even with some reloads in there due to failing the pickpocket every so often. I think that's the main thing with this one. You basically need to go out of your way to get it, either save scumming it at one person just to get the achievement, or making a targeted effort to pickpocket throughout the game. Either way, the game doesn't incentivize you to do it that often, outside of the achievement. There is a similar achievement in the game for getting 50 speech checks, which is much more common. There are just so many throughout the game, and they're impossible to miss if you're actually talking to people. Maybe the game could have done with some early quests that need you to pickpocket so you have it in the back of your mind, but I don't know, this is obviously a very minor, I'm not even going to call it an issue, just an observation. Considering the rarity is as low as it is, I guess that just goes to show how few people actually care about the achievements, which is fine obviously. Having fun with a game is always the priority. For some people that is going for 100%, all achievements, whatever. But for others it's just beelining the main story or casually doing whatever they stumble upon. It's fine, it doesn't really matter. Continuing the theme of achievements that you aren't going to get unless you go out of your way to farm them, we have Desert Survivalist. For this one, you need to heal 10,000 health using food. Now, there are a bunch of these for dealing 10k damage with all the different weapon types, as well as healing 10k with stim packs, and I decided not to include those ones because there's a good chance of getting at least some of them naturally based on what weapons you use and how long your playthrough is. The food one though, no, you aren't going to get it. If you really need healing, like you're in the middle of a big battle, Hoover Dam or whatever, you aren't going to shovel cheese in your mouth, you're going to use a stim pack, it's far more effective. A lot of food is healing over time, and so takes a while to heal as well. The best strategy for farming out this achievement is to get as much food as you can, then jump in a lake. As drowning depletes your health relatively slowly, you can actually eat enough food to heal around the same speed or a bit faster than the drowning ends up depleting it. I forget how long this method takes, but much like earlier, it's not an especially fun process, even with this being the fastest way. Thankfully, it's not that hard to find a lot of food, especially in the endgame where you'll have likely a lot of caps and not a lot to spend them on. This is one where if someone told me they got it naturally, I just straight up would not believe them for a normal playthrough. Those first two are in a sort of category where I just don't think any person playing the game would get them, and that you need to go out of your way specifically to farm them. The next one isn't like that, and in fact I didn't mind it, but if I didn't mention it, people would come after me, and I really don't want that. The next one we're going to look at is Caravan Master, which needs you to win 30 games of Caravan. Caravan is a card game mini game which I think sums up why people don't like it. I know a lot of people don't know the rules and honestly probably never touched it, so to quickly go over the objective of the game, you have 3 columns or caravans that you need to play cards in to get the value as close to 26 as possible without going over. And whichever player has more higher value caravans ends up winning the game. Ace to 10 are their numbers, with Jack, Queen and King and Joker having extra effects that you can look up yourself. This isn't a caravan video. Now, as I said earlier, I quite like Caravan, but that's with the benefit of being able to look things up if I want to. If you're just playing, the game doesn't do the best job of explaining it to you. Winning 30 games also does take a while, and only specific NPCs around the map will actually play with you, so there's another thing that could affect its rarity, people just not knowing where to go to play it. I think there is just a subset of people that don't like extra mini-games in RPGs. The amount of times I've seen it and it's just people complaining about mostly optional mini-games is baffling to me. Like, if it bothers you that much, just don't play it. You don't need all the achievements. I know that's a crazy thing for me of all people to say, but there's actually aren't that many platinums or 100% where I've personally disliked parts of it. But that is a conversation for another day. Bottom line, I like Caravan, but I do get why people don't. You never have to play it at any point in the story, I don't think. This is where someone corrects me and is like, actually in this quest you have to play Caravan? But I'm not fact-checking it, so that's on you. Another thing that is not going to appeal to every single person is playing on the hardest difficulty. And I do think I fall in that category depending on which game it is. I also kind of lied. It's not really difficulty we're looking at. It's the hardcore achievement, which needs you to beat the game in hardcore mode. As I said, not really a difficulty. You can play on hardcore and also very easy, just as an example. The short version for what hardcore does is make the game more realistic, which is a term I absolutely despise for video games. Realism is never a substitute for quality, which is something that people tend to forget when they're posting their stupid Red Dead horse water physics videos on Twitter. I like Red Dead 2, but that is not a barometer of quality. But I do look forward in the future to seeing people gas up a game with realistic taxes. What realistic means for this game though, getting back on track, is food, drink and sleep bars. Healing being less instant, companions dying easier, and ammo actually having weight. I'm sure there are some people that like this, but personally this just makes the game more cumbersome. This is not a survival game which is designed around these mechanics, it's an RPG with this mode tacked on. Full disclosure, I did not do a full conventional playthrough in this mode because it sounds awful. I beelined the main story Yes Man ending as quick as possible and I got it done in a few hours. And honestly didn't really notice the hardcore specific features. So basically what I'm saying is it's either a slog or it feels the same, so then what's the point? I don't know the general feelings for the hardcore, but personally it just doesn't seem fun to me, hence why I got through it as quickly as possible. I wanted to have at least one of the quest achievements on here, but going through they all seemed fairly fine. Some quests I might like more than others, but there's nothing here I actively dislike. That is except for, you know, bottle caps. Maybe I'm a little baby, right, but I really don't like the search around the map for specific items quests. I didn't like the Nuka-Cola Quantum one in Fallout 3 for the same reason. Now specifically, Legend of the Star needs you to find 50 Sunset Star Sarsaparilla bottle caps. Admittedly, there are way more than 50 set locations around the map, plus you get a % chance of getting a star cap whenever you drink a Sunset Sarsaparilla. These are caps though, which are small, and maybe this is just a me thing. I'm not always checking every desk cap by cap. I forget to. I'd rather shoot the ghoul or whatever. Maybe I'm just not exploration minded and you got this no problem, but I think I'm a much more objective based person. You tell me where to go and I'll go there. You ask me to explore and look for small items and I'm likely to get bored. I ended up googling the locations of where they might spawn to get this over with. Again, this is partially on me. I just like having a clear goal. Is this the worst quest I've ever played? No, of course not. Is this the worst quest in the game? I'm leaning towards yes. The final set of achievements I want to talk about today comes to us from the Gunrunner's Arsenal DLC. I don't have any other DLC achievements on here because they're not that bad. It basically just boils down to if you like that particular DLC or not, which is not what I'm focusing on. These three though are up to the challenge, combat veteran, and pros only. These all focus on challenges and specifically Gunrunner's Arsenal challenges. Now I never look at the challenge menu. It's just not something that I ever felt the need to go out of my way to do. You get some just playing the game naturally, you're bound to get a few, but I never went out of my way for any. GRA challenges though are a lot more specific than the normal ones and are divided into 1, 2, and 3 stars. Each of the 3 achievements needs you to complete 3 challenges in each star rating. The 1-star ones admittedly aren't too bad, most of them are just for defeating specific enemy types with specific weapons. Already in the 1-star though, we come to a major issue with these challenges, that being the one to defeat Mr. House using a golf club. Despite the obvious Last of Us 2 reference, the main issue is quite simply that there's only one Mr. House. If you've already defeated him before even looking at the challenges, which I think is pretty likely, I actually think most people who have played the game do not specifically look in the challenge menu at all. You then won't be able to do this challenge, which reduces the amount you can get for the achievement. Now, this isn't a big deal for 1-star ones, but look at the 2 stars. Caesar, Kimball, Benny, half the challenges are for single NPCs. And speaking of the 2 stars, that brings up the next problem for the challenges. We'll take the Nyat-Si achievement as an example. To get this, you need to turn at least one of these factions hostile, which is just less than ideal in a normal playthrough. The 3-star challenges are the worst though, as you'd expect, generally needing you to defeat a lot of strong enemies with weak weaponry. Take the Deathclaw one as an example. 5 adult Deathclaws with this rubbish. I used the dinky pistol and it took a while. Thankfully, you only need to use the weak weapon for the killing blow, but it's still not easy. For named Legion and NCR members, it's another case of just shooting up one of their base areas, which again, you aren't going to want to do outside of this challenge. That's probably the thing I dislike the most about these challenges specifically. They make me play the game in a way that I never would. And if you go for it late in a playthrough, there's a good chance the needed NPCs are already dealt with. It's probably best to do a dedicated playthrough just for these challenges, but even then you still need to find the correct weaponry. It's a real hassle, and I shan't be doing it again. Now obviously, me not liking these achievements doesn't make me dislike Fallout New Vegas. As I said, it's still my favourite one. I just thought it's quite interesting looking at what I consider to be annoying achievements from games I generally quite like. I might do this again for another game. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. But that's the video. Do you agree with any of these achievements I put here, or is there something really obvious that I missed? God, I hope not. Let me know in the comments below and press like if you liked the video, and while you're down there, why not subscribe? It's free, helps me out, and gives you easier access to my videos, both old and new. There's a few Fallout videos on there, as well as other fun achievement and trophy stuff. Thank you for watching this video. For now though, I'm off, hunt them trophs, and I'll see you next time.